U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held separate phone calls this week with the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan amid spiraling tensions between the two countries. According to a State Department readout, Blinken spoke with Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan on Monday to, quote, offer continued assistance in facilitating bilateral peace discussions with Azerbaijan. Pashinyan's office added that the two officials discussed Azerbaijan's ongoing blockade of Nagorno-Karabakh, now past its 100th day, and Baku's increasingly hostile rhetoric toward Yerevan. The next day, Blinken held talks with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, again to underscore Washington's willingness to, quote, cooperate on the peace process, while also, quote, reaffirming the importance of opening the Lachin corridor. In a lengthy statement, Aliyev's office said he was, quote, ready for the normalization of relations with Armenia, but also falsely claimed that, quote, reports about an alleged blockade of the road are false propaganda on the part of Armenia. The phone calls follow up on Blinken's joint in-person talks with Pashinyan and Aliyev last month in Munich, Germany. In more news from Washington, the State Department published its annual Human Rights Practices Reports Monday, detailing the state of individual, civil, and political rights in nearly 200 countries and territories around the world. In its reports for Armenia and Azerbaijan, the U.S. government took note of, quote, credible reports of unlawful killings involving summary executions of Armenian soldiers in Azerbaijani custody during Azerbaijan's attack on Armenia last September. The reports added that Baku had informed Washington that it had opened criminal investigations into the killings, but did not elaborate further. Turning now to the latest developments in Nagorno-Karabakh, the region's state-run InfoCenter said today that Azerbaijan had again blocked the sole pipeline supplying Nagorno-Karabakh's natural gas. The latest blockage began at roughly midnight last night, according to a statement from Artsakh, the private company that operates the pipeline. Nagorno-Karabakh's natural gas supply has been repeatedly interrupted since Azerbaijan's blockade of the region began last December, prompting severe energy shortages and rolling blackouts. The pipeline, which runs to Nagorno-Karabakh from Armenia through areas ceded to Azerbaijan after the 2020 war, was temporarily cut at least 10 times during the first 100 days of the blockade. Also today, Armenian Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan told lawmakers at a parliamentary question and answer session that there are currently no negotiations underway on setting up checkpoints along the Lachin corridor, one of Azerbaijan's key demands. Quote, Armenia considers negotiations around the Lachin corridor to have been completed long ago, Mirzoyan said, referring to the 2020 ceasefire that calls for the route to remain under the control of Russian peacekeepers, with Azerbaijan guaranteeing free movement along it. That comes after Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also dismissed Azerbaijani calls for checkpoints along the Lachin corridor while on an official visit last month to Baku. Meanwhile, Armenia's defense ministry today said an Armenian soldier who had accidentally entered Azerbaijani-controlled territories yesterday afternoon had been found unharmed. The ministry said the soldier got lost in foggy weather while transporting food to an Armenian border outpost and unintentionally crossed into Azerbaijani-controlled areas, but did not name the exact location. CivilNet's correspondent in the southernmost Armenian region of Syunik reported that the incident took place near the village of Ishkhanasar, citing local sources who spoke on condition of anonymity. Ishkhanasar is not far from Sev Lake, the site of major Azerbaijani incursions in May 2021 and last September. In other military news, Syunik's regional administration said today that 2 Russian soldiers went to a medical center in the town of Goris last night, where they received first aid treatment and were then discharged. In a statement, the Syunik government said the soldiers had suffered, quote, minor head injuries that were not firearm related. It did not elaborate. A number of Armenian Telegram channels said overnight that the Russian soldiers were border guards who had been injured by Azerbaijani fire while helping search for the Armenian soldier who had accidentally crossed into Azerbaijani-controlled areas. As of late afternoon today local time, neither Yerevan nor Baku nor Moscow had commented publicly on the matter. And finally, in domestic news, Armenia's ruling civil contract party will nominate Anahit Manasyan, one of the country's 4 deputy prosecutor generals, to head the Human Rights Defender's Office. Party chief Haik Gonjoryan announced the plans to reporters yesterday, citing Manasyan's, quote, professional capabilities, past experiences, and principles. The post has been empty since late January when then human rights defender Christine Grigoryan unexpectedly resigned after less than a year in office. Grigoryan said she left office to take a new position, but would not elaborate. Lawmakers need to approve Manasyan's nomination before she can be sworn in, but civil contract's majority in parliament effectively guarantees her appointment. While the date for that vote remains unclear, a new human rights defender must take office by the end of next month under Armenian law. For updates on all these topics and more, please follow CivilNet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.